Well, good morning. How are you? You having a good day so far? It hadn't gotten hot yet, just wait, right? How many of you are from a place that's cooler than what it's going to be today? Yeah. Well, it's good that you'll get to experience it now. It'll get worse even in August. So, yeah, it's been a little hot. It's been a little warm. Well, welcome. We're glad that you're here today. I am Marcy Minke, and the other person that sometimes does these presentations is Carol Camperman. So we went ahead and put both of our names up here. We are both Associate Deans for Undergraduate Studies in the College of Arts and Sciences. I kind of have a dual role at Baylor, so I still teach 50% of the time. I'm in the classroom, and then 50% of the time I work in the dean's office. Carol Camperman is in the dean's office full-time, and she's someone that you really don't ever want to meet because she usually deals with things like probations and suspensions and stuff like that. So, like, you can go in and say hi to her or something, but you don't want to have, like, a formal appointment. Like, you don't want her to have to call you into her office, all right? So what I'm going to do today is just give you guys a little bit of information about the College of Arts and Sciences. More specifically, I want to talk about our core curriculum so that you can understand that maybe a little bit better than you do right now. And then I'm going to finish up by giving you guys a few tips for success that we think is helpful for students to have coming in to Baylor. So the College of Arts and Sciences, what in the world does that mean? Maybe some of you understand this idea, right? Like, I remember it being confusing to me. Like, I would say, well, I'm going to college, right? I'm going to college. And then I got there, and there's like a university, and then there's different colleges, and what does that mean? You can kind of think about the colleges as different academic units. So the College of Arts and Sciences, that's what I'm representing here today. And it is Baylor's oldest academic unit and also Baylor's largest academic unit. There are other colleges. For instance, there is the business school. That is another college, right? Robbins College, that is another college or academic unit, okay? We have in A&S, A ampersand S, because, you know, we abbreviate everything. So that's, when you see A&S, that's representing College of Arts and Sciences. We have 25 different departments represented in the College of Arts and Sciences that span, obviously, arts and sciences. So that's humanities, that's social sciences, fine arts, and our physical sciences as well. Within those departments, though, there are many different types of majors that are housed within that. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. So that's when we say over 100 different courses of study, over 100 different majors that you can choose within these 25 departments. So just looking at this, I know that font is really small there, but really just wanting to show you guys the breadth of the academic departments that we have in the College of Arts and Sciences there. So if you can read that, you might see a department that you're planning to major in, or maybe you see a department that you're like, I've never heard of that before. Maybe I want to explore that a little bit. So at Baylor, you probably know that Baylor University is a liberal arts institution. Most of you probably know what that means. You've probably looked into that whenever you are doing your college searches, trying to decide where you want to go. And maybe you selected Baylor just because it was Baylor. Maybe you selected Baylor because of a particular program you're interested in. And maybe you selected Baylor because of its Christian mission. Maybe you selected Baylor because it was a liberal arts institution. I mean, it was probably a combination of all of these, right? But you probably did look into what a liberal arts education means. And if someone asks you, sometimes it's kind of hard to explain what that is to other people if they haven't really looked into that and researched it a little bit. But here's one way that we like to think about it. A liberal arts education is not going to tell you what to think, but yet it's going to tell you how to think. And that is something that is important for you to develop as a student because that's something that's going to benefit you throughout your life. A couple of quotes that we have up here from some well-known people. The first one up there, Drew Faust, former president of Harvard, talked about a liberal arts education and said, it's a liberal arts education that's going to help prepare you for your 6th job, not just your first job, right? Your 6th, your 7th, your 8th, your 10th job, right? Because some of us go into a particular career field and we stay in that field our whole lives, right? But more and more we begin to see people that once they have finished college or grad school or professional school, they may go into a particular area or career and stay in that for a little while and then kind of move into a different area of that career, or maybe even switch into something completely different, right? And it is this liberal arts education that we think really prepares individuals for a multitude of careers. It also helps us to become lifelong learners, which is something that we talk a lot about in our courses here. You're familiar with the late Steve Jobs, who was a supporter of liberal arts education. He says it's technology married with liberal arts, married with humanities, that yields us the result that makes our hearts sing. So we think a liberal arts education is really important, and we hope that you'll begin to see that as you start taking classes here. Within our core curriculum, that liberal arts education is reflected within our core curriculum. Let me start by defining that. What in the world is a core curriculum? Sometimes you may hear it referred to as your general education requirements. I've heard it called your basics, right? We typically refer to it as the core or the core curriculum. And so these are the courses that every student within the College of Arts and Sciences will have to take. And of those, several of them are the exact same courses. And then there's other courses that you can choose from a list. Okay, and so that makes up our core curriculum. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And we are really excited about our core curriculum because back in 2019, it actually took a long time to get there, but in 2019, we formally adopted a new core curriculum. Our core curriculum prior to that, it was outdated. It really was outdated. It was too big. You know, we found students are interested in taking a lot of different courses. They're interested in doing double majors and having several minors in these types of things, and the core curriculum that we had really did not allow for that. And so in addition to changing up some of the courses within that core curriculum, we also reduced it by about 20 hours or so. So that allows students to do a whole lot more during their college time, and I'll talk about some of those options as well. When we were thinking about how to develop this core curriculum, we went back to thinking about our mission statement and what do we want to do. And so when you look at this statement, you can kind of see these bolded words that were very important to us that we continue to keep in mind as we thought about what we wanted the core curriculum to be. Because our curriculum is based on these foundational beliefs and values. The mission of Baylor University is to educate men and women for worldwide leadership and service by integrating academic excellence and Christian commitment within a caring community. So when we think about our core curriculum, sometimes you'll see it called the unified core curriculum. And the reason why we say it's unified is because within the College of Arts and Sciences, whether you are doing a Bachelor of Arts degree or a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree or a Bachelor of Science degree or a Bachelor of Science and Aviation Sciences degree, all of those degrees have the same core curriculum. So it's a unified core curriculum. And what's interesting is after we developed and adopted the core curriculum, many of the other colleges at Baylor, the other academic units at Baylor, did what we've been calling mapped onto that, or said, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. And so even if you meet someone who is in a different college, they're likely taking many of the same courses within the core curriculum as you are. All right, so I'm using kind of some figures here to help explain and break down the core curriculum. So the first slide that I have here talks about common courses and distribution lists. So on the far right there, you'll see that the core curriculum total is about 50 hours, okay? That 50 hours is made up of, on the far left, common courses, which represent 15 hours, plus 34 to 39 hours of courses found within these distribution lists that you can choose from. Really quick, I know many of you might know this, but just to clarify, when we talk about hours, we're talking about credits, sometimes called credit hours. So if I say 15 hours, I'm talking about 15 credit hours, all right? And to even backtrack a little further, if a course is 3 credit hours, typically that means that you meet for that course about 3 hours a week, all right, within a given semester. You get 3 credit hours from that at the end of the semester. So we have 15 hours of what we call common courses, the courses everyone in the College of Arts and Sciences takes, and then we have distribution lists. So our common courses, what are these? All right, I said there was 15 hours, all right? Of these, on this particular slide, you'll see the first 2 where it says Chapel and Creative Arts Experience. Those are considered common courses, but those 2 are not actually credit bearing. You don't actually get hours for it, credit hours for that, okay? But every student at Baylor, not just in the College of Arts and Sciences, but every undergrad will take 2 semesters of chapel. You're probably familiar with that, all right? Also within the College of Arts and Sciences, we put it in this kind of common course, but it's not really a course, but we call them creative arts experiences. And all that means, it's not a course you go to, it just means that during your time at Baylor, you will actually be required to go to 12 different creative arts experiences total, right? What is that? Well, you can choose. There's many options that are out there, but it might be you going to a particular concert. It may be going to a film viewing, maybe some sort of art exhibit, these types of things that can fulfill that. You go to 12 of those during your entire time at Baylor. So that's what we mean by creative arts experiences. The others on this slide are 5 courses that each are 3 credit hours, so it's a total of 15 hours there. So American Literary Cultures is one that everyone in A&S will take, as well as United States and Global Perspective, that's a history course. And then we have a political science course that gets the prize for the longest name, the United States Constitution, its interpretation, and the American political experience. So not many people actually say that all of that's a pretty long title there, right? And then there's 2 religion courses. Sorry, that's me, I knew that was gonna happen. There's 2 religion courses that every student at Baylor will take, and that's Christian Scriptures and Christian Heritage, all right? So these are the commons, all right? Now, let's get to our distribution lists. So you'll see up here, no, it's not touching it. Watch this, just in case, we'll do that. See, it's not doing it. Okay, you know what? This is the mic telling me not to move around so much, all right? So our distribution list, what does that mean? That means that within each of these categories or lists, you will pick at least one course to fulfill that particular distribution list, all right? So if you take a look at some of these up here, for instance, you see one that says literature and context, all right? For literature and context, there is going to be a list of literature courses that you can choose from to fulfill that, and you will take one of those to fulfill it, right? Maybe it's world literature, maybe it's Brit literature, right? I mean, there's gonna be a whole list there, all right? Let's look at some of the others up here. Fine arts and performing arts, you'll choose one course from a list of fine arts, performing arts courses there. Scientific method 1 and 2 are up there. Those are science courses, so you'll pick one course from each of those lists. What's another one? Lifetime fitness, that's a fancy way of saying PE. That's your PE course, all right? For that, if you don't want to actually take a physical course, like going and taking volleyball or running or something like that, you could actually, instead of that, you could take one of our civic engagement courses as well. So that's an option too. So for all of these, you will choose at least one course from that. Now, one that is a little bit different from all of these is the foreign languages and cultures, because there's several different kind of tracks you can go on to fulfill this category, and it depends on a number of things like what language or languages you're choosing to study. Also, the number of hours you would take within this depends on things like, you know, are you able to test out of some things? Are you bringing in credit? There's a lot of different ways that that particular distribution list can be fulfilled. So that one is a little bit more varied than some of the others where you just pick one. All right, so those are our distribution lists. All right, so we've talked about our common courses and we've talked about distribution lists. And so those together represent our core curriculum, which is about 50 hours. We say about 50 hours because, remember, for the foreign language and cultures distribution list, the number of hours there will vary by student. So it's about 50 hours total for our core curriculum. All right, then you will choose a major. And so depending on what your major is, some of those hours will change a little bit because each major has slightly different numbers of hours there, all right? Some of them have a little bit more. Some of the fine arts degrees have a little bit more hours within that major. But most majors are between 27 and 36 hours, okay? So when we think about the majors, how many of you, raise your hand if you know exactly what you are going to major in. Raise your hand. I figure most of you kind of had an idea. If you don't worry about that, okay? You've got time to explore that. Here's just a list showing some of our BA majors, Bachelor of Arts majors. Those are listed on here. You'll notice that in addition to some of the humanities and social science majors, that we do actually have Bachelor of Arts degrees in some of the sciences as well. So biochemistry and chemistry are a couple of examples of that where, yes, the particular major is within science, but it's a Bachelor of Arts degree because there's slightly fewer science hours required as a part of that. Here's some more of our BA majors that we have, Bachelor of Arts majors. Moving on, we have our Bachelor of Science majors. So these are going to be within the sciences. So you can see several of those. And again, some of these departments have both BA and BS majors within them. How many people in here are pursuing a Bachelor of Fine Arts? I'm curious. Oh, look at that. All right, we have a few of those individuals, right? So a Bachelor of Fine Arts, we're talking about fine and performing arts here. So there are 4 different majors that you can be studying if you're pursuing a Bachelor of Fine Arts. So those are listed up here as well. So that's another degree, right? So we have the BA, the BS, we have the BFA, right? And then do I have any aviation science majors in here? All right, oh, there you are. See a few of you. Yes, so that is our 4th degree, and that's a Bachelor of Science in Aviation Sciences, right? And there's a couple of tracks there as well. So those are our 4 degrees. All of them have the same core curriculum requirements. All right, so we have our core curriculum, which is 50 hours. You're going to choose a major, which is, 27 to 36 hours, right? You probably know that you need 124 total credit hours to graduate. But if you do the math, 50 plus 27 to 36, that does not equal to 124 hours, all right? So what in the world are you going to take in order to get to the 124 hours? Well, that's where some of the fun comes in. Because we have reduced our core curriculum, right? You have this big part of that 124 hours that you can do a lot of different things with. Some students decide to pursue an additional major. Some students decide to do a minor or minors. Some students will do what we call certificates. Certificates are, they're slightly fewer hours than a minor that a minor requires, but it still goes on your transcript. Like I have a popular one that we see is a certificate in medical Spanish, and if you do that, that is actually on your transcript as a certificate for that. So yeah, lots of different ways to get to that 124 hours to graduate. So do you have it all figured out? So a lot of you raised your hand and said you know what your major is, okay? Now raise your hand if you know exactly how you're going to get to that 124 hours. Like you know your major and you've already decided if you're going to have another major, if you're going to have minors, you got a triple minor plus a double major and 2 certificates. Raise your hand. You got it all figured out? Anyone? Yeah, we got a couple of people who are like, yep, I know exactly what I'm doing, right? And that may actually happen. We'll see, right? We'll see. Yeah? I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that because it's okay to change your mind, right? It's okay to have a goal and an idea of what you're going to do. But you get here and you start taking a lot of different courses and disciplines and courses that you've never been exposed to. You may actually figure out you like something that you never knew existed. And so that's fun as well. And so my message to you is not to be overwhelmed. Don't be the confused bear. Like, oh my gosh, what? I didn't know I also had to pick minors and double majors. No, you don't. You don't have to have any of those, right? And if you're going to have them, you don't have to know what they are when you set foot on the Baylor campus in August, right? It's okay, right? How do you determine how you're going to get to that 124 hours? Well, you know what? Some people just decide to do a whole bunch of exploratory courses, a whole bunch of different courses in a variety of departments and disciplines in order to just see the breadth of what's out there to get to that 124 hours. And those different exploratory courses may not actually all fit nicely into 2 minors or something like that, right? You may decide that you want to get a minor and it's something that's going to very much complement your major. That's fine too, right? You may decide to get a certificate in something that's very different from your major just because you found an area that, hey, I like this. I think this would be fun to take some of these courses. That's fine too, right? So don't stress, don't worry about that. Your advisors are going to help you with things like that. Your peers, you can talk to upperclassmen, right? Take courses that you enjoy taking, right? And it's okay if you don't figure that out your freshman year, your sophomore year. I know juniors that have decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to add a minor. I just found an area that I'm interested in. I've looked at my grad plan and I can fit that in, right? So don't worry about any of those types of things, but feel free to start exploring that and knowing that as you take courses, if there's something you're interested in, you're probably going to have room to fit in those additional courses into your time here at Baylor. All right, so I just mentioned a very important group on campus, and those are our advisors. Again, we like to abbreviate things around here, okay? So the College of Arts and Sciences Advisement Group, we call them CASA, and so you will hear us refer to CASA all the time, right? So you may have a question about a particular, should I take this course? Will this fulfill my minor or something? You may go to your professor, and your professor may know the answer, but your professor may go, you know, I really don't know. Why don't you go see CASA? Go talk to CASA about that. And I always do a really big plug for CASA here because our advisors truly are remarkable, all right? How many people have already met with your advisor to register for courses? Raise your hand. Wow, a lot of you, that's awesome. How many people already have your appointment scheduled? You just haven't had it yet. Fantastic, excellent. So if you do not have an appointment scheduled yet, right, please do that as soon as possible. Sometimes there's a little misconception among students that sometimes they think that they have to meet certain criteria before they can meet with their advisor, like, oh, I need to take this particular placement exam before I can meet with my advisor or something like that. No, that's not actually true. Go and meet with your advisor, right? Get registered for classes. There may still be some questions that you have, or you may need to take some placement exams depending on what your major you're pursuing and so forth, but they're going to help walk you through those different types of things. So CASA is amazing. Always, always, always feel free to reach out to them and ask questions, right? They are so super helpful. Another really important group that we have on campus is our Career Center, all right? Do I have any representatives from the Career Center with us today? Oh yeah, there's some there in the back of the room waving. Yes, yes. I really like to plug the Career Center because a lot of times students think that this is a center on campus that is for seniors who are about to graduate and don't have a job yet, all right? That is so far from the truth. They can definitely help you if you're in that particular position as a senior. But the Career Center, that is a place that you need to connect with very early on your freshman year because there are so many different resources that they have for students. In addition to things like career exploration and things like that, they can help students finding summer internships, summer research opportunities, right? Graduate school admissions, and if you're deciding to, you really want to apply to graduate school, they can help walk you through that process, give you tips and hints and things like that. So I highly recommend that you reach out to them, meet with them early on, because they really are not just I'm a senior and I don't have a job yet, can you help me find a job, right? That's not, they'll do that, right? But there's so much more that they do. So anyway, this is just a little slide here. If you want to learn more, if you have some time during kind of some downtime this afternoon, one of the sessions that's offered at 2:30 is with the Career Center. Is this still in Foster 107? I can't remember. 143, and it should be on your schedule, so you don't have to like rush to write that down, all right? But just note that this, and you want to hear something that's cool, the reason they had to move it is because they needed a bigger space. So that's always a good problem to have, right? So just ignore that. It's in Foster 107. I think it's in Foster 143. So anyway, that's just another great resource among many resources that we have here. Okay, so I want to shift gears now and talk a little bit about tips for success. I could stand up here and talk for hours and hours and hours and hours about how to be successful in college. Things like you should go to class. You should study, right? I mean, I hope that those are kind of obvious things that you probably are familiar with or know. Those are probably things that your parents have already stressed to you. So I'm not going to waste your time talking about those. I'm just going to talk about a handful of tips that maybe you haven't thought of yet, things that we know can help make students successful. All right, number one, there is something called an undergraduate catalog. And it is phenomenal. It contains all of the policies and procedures and major requirements and minor requirements and all the different courses that are listed, all the information about the core curriculum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right? You need to read the catalog. You don't have to read it in detail. I mean, like, if you're not going to be pursuing something in French, you don't need to sit there and read about all the French courses, okay? But you need to be familiar with it, okay? And what is super cool, effective probably like about a month ago, our catalog is now virtual and online, and we are super excited about this. I mean, it kind of has been online before, but it was just a PDF that was thrown up on there. That is very hard to navigate at times. Our catalog now is very user-friendly. It's very easy to go through and find what you're looking for, all right? And so, a lot of the questions that students ask, whether they're asking faculty or staff or advisors or whatever, you can find in the catalog, right? So that is a great place to go first if you have questions, is to go to the catalog. And you don't have to have this website memorized, but just go search undergraduate catalog on the Baylor website. I just took some screenshots here just to show you a few things that are in the catalog. For instance, here, when you go into the catalog, you see a list there at the top of the different academic units, right? So if you're interested, you want to know more about a particular major in the College of Arts and Sciences, you would just click on that plus outside the College of Arts and Sciences, and it'll drop down and give you more information about the college. So you can do that for the different units there. There's a whole section that talks about our core curriculum. So here's a screenshot of that page. At the very top there, you'll see those are 5 of our common courses. If you click on those, they will give you the descriptions of those courses. If you look below that, those are all the different distribution lists. If you click on those, it will list all the courses that fulfill that particular distribution list. So you can start looking ahead and saying, hey, you know, this looks like a great course. That's a course that I want to use to fulfill this particular distribution list. So all of that information is now very readily available to you. Some general information. I know some of you may not be able to see this. This is mostly just to remind me of what to tell you. But just to point out that a lot of those just basic policies and procedures can be found in the catalog. A couple I'll point out here. Cancellations, drops, and withdrawals. Like, what is a drop? How do I drop from a course? What does that mean, right? All that information is in the catalog. General university regulations that we have. Registration. How do I register for a course? What is a course load? How many hours can I take? What's the minimum? What's the maximum? All that information is in the catalog. Grading policies. What are the grading policies at Baylor? How do those impact my GPA? What if I want to repeat a course because I didn't do very well in it, right? What is academic grade forgiveness? Those types of things are all found in the catalog. So very, very easy for you to find. All right, so that's my first tip for success, is to get familiar with the undergrad catalog. My second tip for success is to know how to read a degree audit. First, you probably need to know what a degree audit is. So a degree audit is what we call, it's an audit that tells a student the courses that they have taken, the courses that they are currently enrolled in, and the courses remaining that student's going to need to graduate, given whatever major or minor they have declared, all right? And so it is a great tool for you to see, hey, how many hours do I have left in this major, right? And so we have a program called UAchieve that we use, and you can just Google UAchieve on the Baylor website. It'll take you to a video that tells you how to use UAchieve. It's actually very user-friendly, but there's YouTube videos, and you can go in and say, all right, let me run my audit, right? And it'll tell you all the courses that you need given your particular declared major, minor, etc. If you're thinking about adding a certificate or a minor, you can even do what's called a what-if audit. You can go in and say, you know, maybe you're a junior, right? You've already taken a ton of courses, right? And you know what you have left, but you're like, you know, I want to know how many hours would that add? You can go in and say, what if I add this particular minor? Run the audit, all right? So that is a fantastic tool for you to see the courses that you need, but it's also a great thing that you can do, like even before your advising appointment, not now, not your first advising appointment, don't sweat that, right? Like down the road, right? So you can already, before you go into your advisor, have an idea of what are the types of courses that you might take the following semester. So degree audit, very, very important. All right, this is a big one that we really, really, really want to stress to students and parents, okay? Adulting 101. I love that catchphrase has come around because everyone kind of knows what adulting means, all right? So we 100% realize that for some of our students, when they come to Baylor in August, it will kind of be one of the first times that they have had much independence. Maybe one of the first times that they have started having to adult, right? Or maybe just they've been adulting, but now they're going to have to adult a lot, right? And that can be a little bit scary for students and for parents. But we're here to tell you to just jump on in, start adulting, all right? That is what we're here for. We are here to help you learn to adult, right? It is a process, okay? So what does that mean? That means when you have maybe your first question or freak out moment or what am I supposed to do, right? Like maybe you got a bad grade on your test, your first test you took and you got a bad grade on it, right? And by bad grade, maybe you got a B and you've never made a B in your life and you made a B on a test and what are you going to do, right? So rather than have your parents call your professor, some of you are laughing, it happens quite a bit. As a student, you should be the one that goes and talks to a professor and says, hey, I was caught, by surprise on this. Clearly, I need to change my study habits. Can you help me to figure out what I need to be doing better, right? Okay, and that example is a very, very, that doesn't happen all the time, right? But basically what we're saying is, don't be afraid, students, to try to figure things out on your own, to start advocating for yourself and speaking for yourself on your own, all right? Now, we realize, parents, that there could be something that you need to get involved in, right, and that happens. But we just encourage you to let your child have the first shot at it in order to start that process and develop those particular skills, because it really is extremely important. And it also goes a long way with a professor if they're talking directly to the student and not to you. And the reality is there's laws that prevent us from talking to you as a parent unless appropriate paperwork has been signed. So that is a huge, huge, huge tip that we have for you. The other tip I would say is to make sure you are pursuing paths where you can be successful. I mean, it sounds silly, it sounds obvious, right? But you may come to Baylor and you have this idea of what you want to major in. because you already know what you are going to do the next 50 years of your life. You've already planned it out, right? And that is fantastic. I'm a planner. I like those types of things, right? I like planning things out, right? But if that particular path is not somewhere where you have been successful, it might be time to pursue a different path, right? So we encourage students to, obviously go for your dreams, reach for that. But, if you're majoring in physics and you've taken Physics 101 twice and got an F in it twice, physics might not be the path for you, right? Right? And so we just say that, hey, start looking at other options. And we have so many resources here to help students find those other paths, all right? So pursue paths that you can be successful in. Okay, so I'm gonna stop just giving you tons of information, and I'm gonna see what you learned today. We're gonna do a little interactive game here, right? So what I would like you to do is, if you were a student, please stand if you are able to. Go ahead. We're gonna do a little test. It's gonna be your first Baylor test. All right, so please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be honest. Okay, very good. So keep standing, keep standing. So that's just to make sure that you don't cheat on this, right? And I always forget, like I say raise my right hand, and I forget since I'm on stage, I'm supposed to raise my left so that you mirror me, right? How many people mirrored me? Yeah, but then that confuses you because then you're like, she said right, but she's raising her left. So anyway. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. I have some quiz questions for you in multiple choice format. And when I put the question up, you are going to think about the answer in your head. We're not shouting it out or anything like that, okay? So think about the correct answer. If you get it wrong, you're going to sit down. If you get it right, you're going to stay standing, and we're going to see who the last man or woman standing is, okay? Does that sound like a plan? You can't cheat, hence the solemn vow that I just had you guys take, right? Okay, you cannot ask your parents because they're probably going to make 100, okay? Because they're sitting there, they're actually paying attention to all of this, even when you've checked out, okay? So you can't ask your parents and you can't ask your friend or whatever, right? And if you get it wrong, you have to sit down, okay? Are you ready? Okay, we're going to start out a little slow here, right? Give everyone a chance. Which of the following is Baylor's mascot? Think about it in your head. No cheating. Okay, you got your answer in your head? Okay. All right, Baylor's mascot is a bear. Did you get that, the black bear? If you didn't get it, you have to sit down. It's okay, there's no shame if you did not get it, all right? Okay, all right, here we go. All right, we're gonna step it up a little bit here. Are you ready? Okay. A favorite tradition involves floats made with this. Think about it. No cheating, do not turn and ask your parents. Okay, did you get Dr. Pepper? If you did not, have a seat. Man, I can't fool you guys today. Pretty smart. Think you're smart, huh? Okay. All right, we're going to step it up a little bit. Are you ready? How many semesters of chapel are required? Think about the answer in your head. Did you get 2? Good job. So smart, super smart. You're doing good, doing good. All right, next one. The core curriculum that we talked about consists of how many core courses, right, or common courses, right? There was common courses, right? Plus the 2 semesters of chapel, the 12 creative arts experiences, and 9 distribution lists. So what are those common courses? Think about it. How many of them are there? Think about it. Did you get D? If not, sit down. And don't worry, this is the first one that people start to miss, I know. You're like, I don't know, 4 or 5, somewhere in there, right? It's okay, all right? All right. Next question. What is my name? Are you ready? Did you get B? If not, sit down. It's okay, that gets a lot of people too. Yeah, that's all right, all right. I am not Linda Livingstone, but it would be cool if I was. She is our president, all right. I am not Nancy Brickhouse, but she's an important person here. She is our provost, all right. And then, of course, Carol Camperman is the other associate dean for undergraduate studies. So it's like a powerhouse of women here, right? Girl power, right? Okay, at Baylor, what does CASA stand for? The answer in your head? Are you ready? Did you get A? If not, have a seat. Man, got a lot of people standing here. Y'all are doing good. Okay. What is Baylor's motto? Are you ready? Did you get B? If not, sit down. I know that's one that always gets a lot of them, right? Honestly, I think it should be D. Be nice. Right? But the motto really is pro ecclesia, pro Texana. Anyone know what that stands for? For church. For Texas. All right. Okay. You ready? Let me see if I can half the number of those that are standing here. What year was Baylor established? Are you ready? You ready? Did you get D? If not, have a seat. Wow, we got quite a few standing still. If you are still standing, you are an official winner. And yes, we have a prize for you. You're going to come up here and see Miss Jamie, and she's got hand sanitizer with the College of Arts and Sciences branding on it. Which I will tell you, yeah, I know, like pre-COVID, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's kind of neat. And now everyone's like, that is the coolest prize ever, right? My, how things change. Hey, that ends our time today. Appreciate you coming. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Try to stay cool and hydrate.